back. As I mentioned, we have Jeff Parker here. Well, hi, how are you today?
Yeah, Monday morning, yeah, doing well actually.
Smiles on our faces, so
Yeah.
it's all good, right?
It's all good.
Good. Well, thanks for being here today, and I know you've got some great information for the village folks, and but before that, we'll go ahead and go over our COVID numbers.
We'll go over our COVID numbers, which are good too. Again, we've always talked about focusing on hospitalizations and ICUs. 577 hospitalizations and 190. So the context is last week when we were talking, we were at 790 hospitalizations and 257 people in ICU. So we've now dropped down below the 200 mark in ICUs. And the real important part about that, as we talked about, is that the capacity allows everything to happen at the hospitals that are normal. You know, surgeries, the emergencies, the broken leg, the broken arm. Anything that needs to go to an ICU can go to an ICU now because they have capacity. That's really, really good news.
Yeah.
COVID cases are down, 252. That was 361. So over 100 reduction since Friday. I will say, unfortunately, still reporting deaths that are occurring. That may be reflective of how many people have been in long-term ICU cases, and that's why we're seeing ICUs drop. But the reality is again, out of that, 17 people, 18 people are out of skilled nursing or assisted living because they're the most vulnerable. But 21 individuals in Orange County in residential areas too. So that's real unfortunate. We're creeping up on 4,000. Which we don't want to hit. I mean, that's not a goal. I know today there's going to be a moment of silence nationally because we've hit the 500,000 mark in the United States. So 500,000 people have passed away, unfortunately, because of COVID. With regards to our own numbers, we just went up 4 cases over the weekend from 384 to 388. So that's pretty slow growth, and that's want to see it going to 0, but at a very small increase in numbers. And our deaths in the community of Laguna Woods stayed the same at 28. So both positive numbers. If we can get that to be zeroed out so we don't see any cases, that's great. But in our environment, well, we're seeing some creep up anywhere. With regards to the purple tier that we're still in, not a lot of change in the cases, so we're right at that 20%, but we still have the real good news is that positivity rate versus the amount of people that are being tested is below 8%, which is what we want to achieve to get into that red tier. So some good movement. Slowly but surely we're creeping back towards getting into that red tier, which is really our next big goal.
Yeah, in fact, I understand that some of our restaurants now just might be opening up for indoor dining starting this week, which is really good news.
And that really depends on how the county is interpreting everything and what they'll regulate. So we'll be watching for that and see if there's any new regulations from the county with regards to
so is the governor going to talk again tomorrow, or?
Yeah, my understanding is tomorrow there's going to be additional press releases coming out, and I'm sure the governor's going to be on, and then that'll get passed down to the county, Orange County Health Agency, and then they also make an interpretation on where their numbers are, as well as the state guidelines. Okay,
well, that's great. I mean, anything to help those businesses, which is great, and then of course helps us get out and about and do our thing, as long as all the protocols, which are certainly being followed today, as we can see, so that's great news.
Absolutely.
So on to vaccinations. So I understand that you guys were able to secure quite a few vaccines. So let's see how that's going to work.
Yeah, so the unfortunate news, obviously, that we had over the weekend was we were not able to do any vaccinations this last weekend. Because of the delay and the shortage of vaccines throughout not only the state but nationwide because of the weather issues and just the dissemination of all of that. But we knew that we were going into that next phase of second doses where people were getting their second shot. So we worked with Orange County Health and Memorial Care, and they were able to secure not only those people that would have reservations this weekend, but also taking care of what we missed last weekend.
Okay, great.
So we've received an allocation of 5,000 doses, or a little over 5,000 doses, to be able to accommodate not only catching up last weekend, but also all the appointments. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, the portal's not working. We've had technical difficulties. I feel sorry for Memorial Care because they've been trying so hard to get that portal up.
Right.
So we'll be using Code Red as our primary source of getting information out to people, times, appointments, all of that.
Okay.
So be looking for that. We'll have more information that Eileen and her communications and media team are going to be putting out this week. So be careful and watch for that information as it comes out from us, as well as the telephone calls from Code Red, so that you'll know the best time and your time and when to come down and get your vaccine over the weekend. And remember, when you went in, check those dates and make it consistent that 21 days was last weekend. So if you were in that group, then for sure you're going to get it. And then 21 days from the following weekend. So it's always 21 days after that initial weekend. So if you were in that second weekend when we first started it, then that's coming up. And if you were in that first weekend, obviously we're going to make up for that.
Okay, so then some of them, especially the ones who are for this weekend, would have maybe already had an appointment, correct? That was on their card. So is that still their appointment, now we're going to change
we're still
that?
working on that, and that's, I'll say, to be determined, but I think we want to stay as consistent as we can. So we're working with Memorial Care. We're meeting tonight. We're going to have a special staff meeting tonight, and we'll have, hopefully, all that stuff ironed out so that we can, maybe I could come back real quickly tomorrow or Wednesday and just give you an update before Friday.
Absolutely. Yeah, that will be good, because I think that hotline could get a few phone calls. So we're hoping that don't call the hotline, because we're going to have that information for you here shortly.
Right.
And then, of course, we always have it right here on TV6, so then they can have an update if needed.
And I want to emphasize again, don't call the hotline, because it does not have any of this information on there at this point in time, and won't. And the operators just don't have the information. So we're evaluating that operation too, whether or not we're going to continue that. So we'll be evaluating that this week too, whether or not that's being effective anymore. Because if we're reaching out to you, then we don't need to have a hotline on back.
Exactly. And then you also have the Laguna Woods Village Alerts.com website that has the FAQ on it.
Right.
So I'm assuming the majority of the questions are probably answered there. So.
And that's a great place to go, by the way.
Yeah, or they could maybe send an email too. And would that be the email, the info@lagunawoodsvillage.com?
Same one.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Exactly.
Good.
And I appreciate you saying that, because we want to be able to provide information to you, but it's a lot easier if we're sending it out to you as opposed to you calling in and impacting our phone system.
Exactly. All right. Well, good. Well, that's excellent news. We definitely needed to hear that, because I know people were starting to get a little panicky, like, wait a minute, how much longer can I actually wait? So good news. All right, good. So we'll either have you back again tomorrow or Wednesday with additional information.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And remember, the key is to be patient. They will reach out to you through the Code Red system to be able to get you all the information that you need, or you could watch us here on This Day on TV6. We'll be right back.